And welcome back to the Financially Simple Experience. Friends, today I want to cover a simple topic. 4 ways to communicate your company's core values with your customers. I want to deal with this in detail. You say, Justin, core values, what are they? Or maybe you say, Justin, core values, why? Or maybe you're like, dude, I've already got that. And you're quickly wanting to fast forward through to the next episode. I challenge you not to do so. You see, maybe, just maybe, you've taken the time to write down your ethos, write down who it is you are and what is your guiding principles of your life. Maybe you've done that. Or maybe you've taken it a step further and maybe, just maybe, you've gone in and said, I'm going to take my ethos and I'm going to impart those on the company I own. I want my company to operate underneath my values. Maybe you've taken that step 2. Or maybe you've even gone to step 3 and you've incorporated the core values into your company in a written form where you have them in your employee handbook. You have them plastered on placards within the office or your job site. Or maybe you've even placed them on your website so that others can see what your core values are. You see, the importance of a company's core values is it has a differentiating effect on you versus your competition. And the way that you communicate your core values to your customers matter. So I want to unpack this. I want to ultimately get to 4 ways you can communicate it, but I want to unpack this in greater detail, why core values matter. It's been said that people do business with those they know, like, and trust. Think about that. Probably you could quickly look at your life and say, I go to this restaurant, or I go to this service provider, or I use this individual because I know them. Maybe I grew up with them. Maybe I've become friends. Maybe they go to a church or some sort of organization with me. Or maybe I like them. Hey, they're just fun. I jive with them. I just get along with them. Or maybe there's an element of trust that you have. People do business with those who they know, like, and trust. So what greater way to gain knowledge, likability, or trust from potential customers than to share your ethos, your core values of who you are as a business, as the owner of the company. Now, when creating core values, it's very tempting to say things like, we communicate, or we have integrity. I love that one, where we serve on integrity, or we have respect, or we strive for excellence. You know, all the cookie cutter cliche words. I got to tell you, one of my things, if I see integrity in a business card, I typically don't use that firm, because if you have to tell me that you have integrity, why? It should be assumed, but that's just me. But it may be tempting to come up with very simple cliche things which are truthful. And in fact, each of us should strive for integrity and honesty and excellence and respect. But if you're not careful, they could be just simply empty platitudes. Our core values have to mean something. In the case of values, they represent who we are as a company. Let me read a couple of companies for you and tell me what your thoughts are. Enron. Enron. Like, dude. Madoff. I wonder if those two, company and individual, had a core value of integrity or honesty. You see, the core value that we represent to our customer must represent the company that we aspire to be. Patrick Liciani made this statement: empty value statements create cynical and dispirited employees. They alienate customers and undermine managerial credibility. Things like trustworthy, integrity. Therefore, whenever we outline our core values, it must truly embody the culture of the business as it is or as it aspires to be. But what does that look like? Simply put, whatever the value is, the company does. They exhibit it. They practice it. Every area of the business can illustrate it. Whenever I look at core values in action, again, one of my favorite restaurants to go to when we're traveling is Chick-fil-A. It's here in the Southeast. I'm finding it's all a little bit further than I expected with its footprint, but it's a great fast food restaurant if you like fast food, and I love their chicken sandwich. It started in Atlanta with Truett Cathy, And he wanted to provide guests with a world-class experience that went above and beyond the typical fast food restaurant that we kind of grew up with. His core value is reflected in the company's mission statement. Think about this. Here is Truett Cathy's core value, and he's placed this into the company's mission statement. The mission statement is this: to glorify God. It is a faith-based company. To glorify God by being a faithful steward of all that is entrusted to us. To have a positive influence on all who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. I can just see Mr. Cathy as he was starting his company saying, hey, I want to build a world-class experience. And as they begin writing out the mission statement for the company, I could hear some people saying, how dare you put that in the mission statement? You're going to put God in the mission statement? You're going to say you're going to have a positive influence on those who come in contact? That's extreme. But that was his value. And he lived it. And then what was more interesting, he went a step further and said, hey, because we're faith-based, we're not going to work on Sundays. And so we're going to close all of our stores down nationally on Sundays, which if you're traveling on Sundays is very depressing. But nonetheless, it's a powerful value. The company's core values of Chick-fil-A were so thoroughly ingrained in every part of the culture that the customers feel them. I've used this example 1,000 times. Whenever I go through the drive-thru and I order my number one with a Coke Zero, no French fries, get the slaw and get the chicken sandwich. It comes in the truck and I say thank you, and then whoever it is going to say my pleasure. Core value. So Chick-fil-A's core value is we're here to serve, and they illustrate that. They have won countless awards, unbelievable amount of awards over the years. They have given more than $12 million to local nonprofits in the United States and Canada. They serve local communities by hosting things like Military Appreciation Day or Daddy-Daughter dates. They do things in the local community. They serve their team members by providing scholarships for college. They provide generous gifts to employees at Christmas for their families. They're here to serve. Another core value they have is we're better together. The company lives the culture out by creating a diverse and inclusive culture. In 2018, they received a Best Company for Women award. Additionally, the company ranks in the top 40% of businesses with 10,000 plus employees, according to a comparability diversity score. They're better together. They're inclusive, not exclusive. They have another core value that says we are purpose-driven. We are purpose-driven. That's one of their core values. And they show that day in, day out. If you go into a Chick-fil-A, you can see that the entire operations team is driven. They're mission critical, and they have a strategy to carry out what they want to accomplish. They stewardship their time and the customer's time by making it the most efficient experience possible. During COVID, we watched the fast food industry morph. A lot of the lobbies around the country were closed, and Chick-fil-A poured into their drive-through line. I could literally go by McDonald's and see the cars wrapped around the building and say, nope, I'm going to get a God sandwich. And go and get a Chick-fil-A sandwich, number one, with a Coke Zero and the coleslaw salad with a regular chicken sandwich, include the pickles, love those. I could go through and see this huge line, but because of their purpose-driven devotion to stewardshiping my time, I could go through their line, come back out and beat the McDonald's line, which was half the distance, because they were looking at stewardship. Chick-fil-A also has the core value of we pursue what's next. We pursue what's next. They've innovated many things like the drive-thru line, as I was just mentioning. They began providing unexpected service where they were using multiple lanes, delivering food to customers at the table. Think about it. At a fast food restaurant, they bring you food at the table. Even curbside, where you could call in, they'd walk out and deliver it right to your car. So many things Chick-fil-A has done. So with that as a backdrop, let's look at our core values. Whenever I was going through this exercise years and years ago, I wrote a list of about 10 core values down. Things like leaders eat last. Don't touch the marshmallow. If you see a turtle on its back, flip it or turn the turtle, what it's called. Dive to the bottom. Different values that I have that I've been taught and that make up who I am. As you look through your core values, ultimately, once you adopt them, you've got to communicate them with your customers. That is imperative. I want to go over a couple ways that you can incorporate your core values and communicate them to your customers. The first one is list them on your website. List them on your website. 41% of business owners don't have a website. That's bizarre to me. If you have a website, list your values. People want to see what you believe. My mom always said, son, what you do speaks so loudly, but what you say I cannot hear. So not only do we place them on a website, but we want to have the opportunity for our customers to see our values in action. You see, if they don't know what your core values are, they're going to see good deeds and not realize that it's intentional. So think about this. If you're intentional on carrying out your values, how is a customer going to react whenever you're intentional on carrying out the product or the service that they're requesting from you? It's a huge level up for your business. So one of the things you can do is you can list them on your website and you can carry through with what your core values are. You can also display them in your actions. As I mentioned, I can go through Chick-fil-A and I can say, thank you for my number one, Coke Zero, coleslaw with Chick-fil-A sandwich, include the pickles. And they're going to say, it's my pleasure. I see their values in actions every single time I go there. I've never had the experience. I try every single time. I've never had the experience where someone did not say, it's my pleasure. You see, we can display our values through our actions. Now, in order to do that, we're going to have to indoctrinate, almost to this point of brainwashing, if you will, indoctrinate our team into what our values are. They have to be top of mind. We're going to have to continue to be repetitive in what our values are. Here's what we're driving toward. Here's what makes us who we are. And then we can utilize number 3, calls marketing. What that means is we're going to align our values into our social media and email marketing. If one of your values is to serve a specific sect within the community, for example, veterans or those with disabilities or special needs, you might choose to profit with a non-partner group who advocates to serve those particular areas of interest. That's a way that you can illustrate your values. And then you can incorporate your social media following and your email campaigns to drive forward in that particular care. Here in Knoxville, we have CARM, Knoxville Area Rescue Ministries. It's for homeless individuals, and the organization takes care of feeding homeless individuals. Perhaps you've heard of Wounded Warrior, the Wounded Warrior Project, people who served our country in our military, who we all owe a debt of service to for our freedom. Wounded Warrior goes out and they work with our warriors, our veterans who were wounded. That's a cause. You can align your values with a project like those and illustrate them within your social media or email marketing. And finally, you can use testimonials. Testimonials are powerful. Search Engine Land, which is a company that does studies, found that 88% of customers trust online reviews as much as they trust personal recommendations. So think about this. Let's say one of your core values is dive to the bottom. Now, for me, that means if a client has a question, I'm going to research that question until I can find all the possible solutions to help them make a wise decision. So if dive to the bottom is my core value for Justin and it's also the company's core value, then wouldn't it be powerful if we had a customer say, one of their core values is dive to the bottom. And I saw that in this particular circumstance. I had this question and the teams diligently sought to find every solution possible for this particular question. How powerful would that be to see that on a testimonial, whether it be a Google review, a video testimonial, a Facebook testimonial? You and your company can do that. Now, in our industry, we have a hard time with testimonials because of the regulators, but nonetheless, in most companies, you can use testimonials. Imagine coupling testimonials in alignment with your company's core values. Friends, at the end of the day, our values matter. I've given you 4 ways that you can align your values of your company for your customers. I have this belief. And the belief is I want to be able to use every ability I have to impact as many people as possible. That's a core belief, value. That's in my ethos. That's at the center of who I am. In your company, what is it that you're not going to waver from? What is that core value? Do you have it? Why in the world would you not want your customers to know that? Why in the world would you not want every single day of your life to illustrate that value so that you can create synergy, so that you create harmony, so that you can impact others? I know you do. I've sat down with too many business owners over the years. I know the way we think. So let me challenge you. If you don't have your core values outlined, you've never thought about it, do the exercise. I've given you some from Chick-fil-A. That's just one example. If you Google, you can find examples of core values everywhere. Maybe it's your personal values. That's what I did, is I wrote down, who am I? What is it that I'm not willing to sacrifice as Justin? I started with me personally. That's an exercise in of itself. It's very enlightening to do that. And then I took my values and I said, my company, here's how we're going to operate because this is me. And if it violates my core values, you can expect resistance because I'm not going to violate who I am. And what quickly happened was some people opted in, some people opted out in terms of employees. Some people opted in, some people opted out in terms of clients. And that's okay. I was okay with it, and they were okay. But at the end of the day, it allowed me to be authentic. It allowed me to be who I am. So let me challenge you. Discover your core values, write them out, and then let's get them in front of your potential customers and your customers. You'll be amazed at what this exercise can do for you and your company. This is tough. Doing the practice of recognizing my core values, I can remember wrestling. I remember being awake at night saying, but I messed up. I didn't do that, but this is who I am. And all my failures, it was tough. This is hard work, but it is so rewarding. It is so rewarding being able to impact others, being able to leave somebody better, for whatever that term is for you, than where you began with them. It is powerful. It's not for the faint of heart. Friends, let's continue to make our lives at least financially simple. Y'all go out and make it a great day.